Hi, it's Emily, and today I'm going to talk about multiplying fractions using the area model. Okay, so fractions were given for 3/4 times 2.5. Okay, so if we first look at the 2.5. That tells us we need to add 3/4 2.5 times. So in the area model, we can represent this by drawing two squares because of this 2. Then we're gonna need a third square because we still have 1/2. We're gonna take half of the third square. So let's just draw 3 squares first. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Let me make these lines red to distinguish them later when we start drawing other lines. Okay. So now, this 3/4 tells us we need to break the squares into fourths. So we can do this by drawing 3 horizontal lines through all 3 squares. 2, 3. Pretend those are even. And then so the first two squares and these 2 squares, we need to just shade 3 of the 4 parts. So like this. So 3, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. Now in the third square, it's saying we need 1/2 of the 3/4. So you can even do this math below. 1/2 of, or multiplied by 3/4 is 3/8. So right now the square is in fourths. We need to get it into eighths. We can do this by splitting it in 2. Now there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 parts. And this 3 is telling us we need to shade 3 of the 8. So 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now we're ready to find our fractional answer. And so to find the numerator, we're just going to focus on the shaded region. And we're going to add those parts together. But before we can do that, these shapes look the same, but this one looks different. So you have to get them all to look the same, or in other words, have a common denominator. And so in this case, these are in fourths. This one's in eighths. So if we just split these in half, now they're all in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 eighths. So we'll be able to add the shaded region to determine the numerator. So let's do that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So that's our numerator. So I'm going to write it over here. So 15 is our numerator. And by the way, the numerator tells us number of parts we are considering. So the number of parts we are considering. So in this case, the number of parts we're considering is just the shaded part, which is 15. Now, before we find the denominator, let's think about what the denominator is. So the denominator tells us how long it takes to get to a value of 1. So how many takes to get to a value of 1. So, to find the denominator, we just focus on one square. We can focus on any of them, since they're all broken into the same amount of parts. And so, a value of 1, just looking at one square, would be equal to 8/8, because there's 8 parts in one square. So that's the value of 1. Now to find the denominator, we're going to find the area of just this one square, or any of them. So the area of one square would be the length, so we're going to count the length. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's write that down here. So length times width, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the length. 4 times the width, which is 1, 2, 2, which is 8. That's our denominator. And then, so 15/8 is the answer, but you can change this into, by dividing in your calculator, plug it in, change it into 1/7/8. So there's either one of these, that's your answer. That's how you use the area model.